Hopefully by now you have a good idea of the massive potential value of points. And then the next logical question that would follow would be, how do I get lots of those points? So we'll talk about that now. There are 6 primary ways that I'm aware of to get lots of points, and we'll go through them one by one. The first way is the one that most people think of when they think of credit card points. I signed up for this card and I got 60,000 bonus miles, or this is what airlines advertise to you on basically every flight and in every flyer. Bonus miles, bonus miles, bonus miles. This is great if you want to do something like a honeymoon, or you're wanting to take a family vacation. You just need to know like where you want to go and how you need to accumulate points in order to accomplish that. So if you want to go to Hawaii, it may be different than if you want to go to the Caribbean. It just depends on what kind of thing you're looking to cover, and then you need to accumulate points in that direction. This is a short-term strategy. It's not really a long-term point strategy, but it is a good one nonetheless. And just be aware that American Express only gives you the benefit once per lifetime. Other cards do it every 5 years or so. So there are people I know of that will just sign up for like as many cards as they possibly can and have found good success with that. I am not one of those people, but I also have never tried. So more power to you if you want to do that and can pay them off. The second way is to spend lots of money. If you are wealthy or a small business owner, this is a great long-term strategy. I would just recommend that you know how you're spending your points so that you're not wasting them, like we talked about previously, building Delta Sky miles when that may not actually meet your travel goals. Third way is transfer bonuses, and I'll talk about this one a little bit more in depth. So with a transfer bonus, essentially cards will offer these deals every once in a while. It depends on the program. There's no rhyme or reason to it. There's no schedule. They come up usually at the first of the month, sometimes around the middle part of the month, and they'll announce, hey, we're giving you a 30% bonus if you transfer your points. So at the time of the recording of this video, Chase is offering a 50% bonus to Marriott Bonvoy. Marriott Bonvoy points, not valuable. Don't do that. Citi is transferring to Wyndham, also not very valuable. But they are transferring to Virgin Atlantic, and Chase is also transferring to Virgin Atlantic. American Express is transferring to Avianca Life Miles. Capital One is transferring to British Airways Executive Club, which is Avios. We'll talk about that later on in this video. And American Express is also transferring to Marriott Bonvoy, though for less than Chase is transferring for. Now, if you have tons of points, you're wanting to book a stay, and maybe you stay at Marriott properties all the time, and you're like, hey, I need a few thousand extra points. Yeah, it's great benefit to be able to do this. For the most part, though, I would keep your points in your credit card account and not transfer them out unless you know for a fact that you want to book a trip or there's an airline that you fly a lot with. Even still, there are a few risks to that. So let's look at the Virgin Atlantic transfer bonus. This is not a risk, this is a perk. I showed you earlier on this flight on American Air France. That would have been 15,000 miles instead of, I think, some huge amount on Delta. It's like 88,000 miles or something. If you were to transfer from Citi thank you points, we're going with the 30% bonus because 40% is pretty uncommon. So I don't want you to be disappointed when you go and you realize that maybe that deal is not available. So I'm operating off of a 30% bonus here. You would only need 11,538 miles. Now, usually you need to round up to 1,000 to transfer miles. So you need 12,000 miles to do this. You get a few extra. Same thing here with the flight from Atlanta to Amsterdam. Instead of 57,005, you need 44,230, round up 45,000. Pretty great deal for a business class ticket from Atlanta to Amsterdam, provided you're okay with the taxes and fees. Another way is to transfer to British Airways. So British Airways here, they offered a 30% transfer bonus from American Express. I use this one a lot, and here is why I use it. Not because I booked tons of flights with British Airways, but because British Airways Avios are very flexible. And Avios can transfer between Iberia, Aer Lingus, Finnair, and Qatar Airways. And they all have slightly different ways of doing things. And so as long as you know, hey, there's a deal on this partner and I like flying with them, you can kind of figure out, okay, I'm going to transfer here and use this and save it. So generally, I book a few flights on these partners every year, and so if I see this deal come around for 30%, I'll transfer like 100,000 miles because I know I'm going to get 130,000 miles out of that, which can be a great savings on top of the, whatever bonuses you're getting when you're spending. So I was getting, 4 points on the American Express business card. So now I'm getting 4, but then I'm getting a 30% bonus on that. So that's becoming 5.2 points back for every dollar that I spend. So anyways, great ways to leverage between these two programs. Here's another one that was available recently, is not available right now, but American Express transfers to Hilton not at a 1-to-1 ratio. They transfer at a 1-to-2 ratio. So 1,000 points is normally 2,000 points. But in the case of this bonus, they did a 30%. So 30% extra. So it would be 2,600 Hilton Honors points. If you book with Hilton, these points are not the most valuable, but you know, sometimes I'm like a few thousand points shy away. So sometimes if I see these bonuses come up, I'll transfer a few thousand points just because I know they're more valuable than they're going to be at any other point during the year. There are a few cases where airlines will do this, like randomly built rewards, I think, will have these one-day promotions where you can only transfer miles that one day. For the most part, though, they come up annually, and you can look at the calendar and the schedule of when they have done this in the past so that you know, oh, this is a great time, or I can expect around the fall, they're probably going to have a bonus. Now, it's not for sure, but oftentimes they do follow a certain rhythm of an annual bonus that they offer. Rule of thumb, though, don't transfer more than you plan to use in a year. You just don't want to get stuck transferring to an airline that then changes their mileage program significantly, and now your points are not very valuable. Whereas if you have American Express points or City points or Chase points, etc., you are not tied into that airline or that program specifically. You have flexibility. Once you transfer, there's no going back. You cannot reverse the transfer. So just make sure that you know you're ready to use them, or you're going to use them sometime in the next few months or year, and you're willing to take that risk. The next way is with category bonuses. This is the best way for me to do it because I spend a lot of money on advertising with my small business marketing company, App Digital Marketing. So search around in your industry, see if there are any ways for you to leverage bonuses. If not, Capital One has 2x cards. Chase has 1.5x cards that you can put just about everything on and hope to get some level of return from them. American Express as well has the Blue Business Plus card, which gives you 2 points back on your first $50,000 of purchases every year. Not a great deal, but still an extra 50,000 points as opposed to getting 1 point back on all of your other purchases every year. So those 50,000 miles can be valuable. There is one way I recently discovered with American Airlines to build lots of points, and that is through a bank account. This can be super helpful, particularly because American Airlines does not have any transfer partners of the major credit cards that we have talked about in this course. So if you need to build a lot of American points, Basque Bank Account will give you 2 miles back every dollar that you invest every year. The earnings are minimally taxed because they are offering this to you in lieu of interest, so it is taxable, but not at a huge rate. Of course, you would want to know, is that worth it? Great question. Maybe, depends on your situation. So hypothetically, if you were to invest $100,000 in a 4% high yield savings account, you'd get $4,000 back. I know, depending on the economy and the time of year and who's the president, this can fluctuate up or down, but let's just assume 4% for sake of simplicity. If you were to invest $100,000 in a Basque mileage savings account, you would get 200,000 American Airlines miles at the end of the year. So to save $4,000 from 200,000 miles, you would need a return of at least 2 cents per mile. Hypothetically, here is how you could get more than 2 cents per mile, even more than 2.5 cents per mile. This is a trip from Ontario, California, not Canada, to Knoxville. And you can see the cash price of the ticket is $290, and it is 6,000 American Airlines miles. If you put that in the calculator, it will spit out a per mile point redemption value of 4.7 cents. Here's another example. JFK to Haneda. Now this is a very last minute trip, but depending on your style of travel or the way you like to do business, this may be very valuable to you. It's an $8,000 ticket to go from New York to Haneda in business class, or 60,000 miles. So if you're to do the math on that, your per mile point redemption value is 13.6 cents. So it is absolutely possible to get a return on your American miles of 2 cents or more. You just have to have the cash to spare and often fly last minute, or be willing to look for deals, or often pay cash for business class because the value is outsized as it relates to business class. An economy class ticket might be $30,000 and the business class ticket might be $60,000. Well, an economy class ticket is not going to be $300 and the business class ticket be $600. Often it's going to be 4 or 5 times more. So there's outsized value when it comes to premium cabin booking with points. The last way to get a lot of points is to buy them. Now, you do have to be careful, and I'll tell you why at the end, but this can be a great way to get a jump start on your points game and get looking for deals if you want to get in right away. This is an example of the flight we shared earlier from New York to Tokyo in business class for 60,000 miles. It would cost you $8,185 in cash. You could buy on American Airlines website right now. They do change the deals and the rates, and sometimes they don't offer mileage purchasing, but for right now they do, and you can buy them at 3.2 cents per mile. So if you were going to pay $8,000 worth of cash for the ticket, it would definitely make sense to buy the miles and then pay with miles instead of paying with cash. Just be aware that you will not get $8,000 worth of credit and future miles on American Airlines to use. So there is a little bit less value associated with booking with points in that case. Here's another example of what airlines will sell for. Alaska Airlines is currently selling around 2.75 cents. Sometimes it goes up or down based on how many miles you're buying. Qatar is selling them for 2.3 cents, and Finnair actually is selling them right now for 1.1 cent, which is 50% off their normal price. The cool thing about this, as we talked about earlier, is that Finnair can transfer to Qatar by transferring to British Airways. So all the Avios, or Avios, I'm not exactly sure how they pronounce it, but are interchangeable and you can use them across each of the different airlines. So as you consider doing this, just be careful. Make sure that the miles will transfer fast enough for you to book the award seat. Be comfortable with using the miles for another flight in the event someone takes the seat you wanted before the transfer is completed, and beware of devaluations. I learned this the hard way when it was during COVID. Aeroplan/Air Canada offered a huge promotion to buy lots of miles from their program. I did buy lots of miles from their program, and then they changed their program. There's still a lot of great value that you can get from the Aeroplan program for the time being, but I did learn the lesson the hard way. Don't put all your eggs in one basket and go for a deal, because unlike with cash, there really is not a lot of regulation as it relates to mileage programs. So you just have to know this is the Wild West and kind of anything goes.